Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Try a Star Wars story you can only experience on audio with the brand new Star Wars audiobook original, Dr. Aphra by Sarah Kuhn. Read by an all-star cast including Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor, Jonathan Davis, and more. Dr. Aphra is on sale July 21st, wherever audiobooks are sold. Pre-order now.
This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very interesting and exciting Coffee with Kenobi. I'm your host, Dan Z. We are actually live at the Harvest Moon Drive-In in Gibson City, Illinois. I am here with two of your very favorite Star Wars fans. You know them, you love them. First, let's bring in Cory Clubb.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Yeah, pretty cool. And also joining us, Tom Gross.
Well, hello there, everybody. It is fun to be here. I like how we're like keeping our 6 foot. We've got a 6 foot Bermuda Triangle here.
We have incredibly long microphone cords. We are more than 6 feet away from each other, but we wanted to record something because we're here. We're going to watch The Empire Strikes Back, as I said, at the drive-in. This is pretty great. As of course I said many times, first time I ever saw Star Wars was at a drive-in. I saw The Phantom Menace at a drive-in in 1999, and now I got to see The Empire Strikes Back, which I've never seen in a drive-in theater before. And I was 7 when I first saw it. Mason has never been to a drive-in movie theater. He's going to watch The Empire Strikes Back at the age of 7. I just kind of like how that all sort of played out together. So, Tom, you said this is your first time that you remember, because you're pretty old, at a drive-in movie theater, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah, this is exciting. I drove by this outdoor theater so many times on my way to college, right by on the highway that went by here, and I've seen this theater so many times. But what we've got, by the way, we've got great seats.
Yeah, front row.
We have front row, center. So we're 25, 40 yards from the screen itself.
Yeah, it's a pretty huge screen. I put a lot of pictures on our Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter, so you can go back and look at those, but it's great. I mean, we made sure we reserved our seating. My brother's here too, with his daughter. Of course, Mason's here. You've got your kids here. It's going to be a party. Now, you have been here before, or you haven't?
I've been to another theater, just watching. I think it was Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I haven't really been to other bigger, giant theaters like this,
right?
Especially for Star Wars,
right?
And this is unique because last time I think I saw Empire in the theater of any kind was special edition. So it's been quite some time for me.
So this is great. Well, let's kind of break down how it looks for people who can't see it. But basically, I mean, there's 2 screens, I don't know, east and west of each other, something like that.
Yep.
And then
north and south,
we reserved front row parking, so we've got all of our cars. We've basically got a car space between each of our cars. Yeah. We've got our folding chairs set up. We've got a lot of people looking at us while we're on microphones, which is kind of funny. And then Mason is running around playing with lightsabers. Cory's kids are doing the same. We're all just kind of hanging out. Yeah. Brought our snacks, brought coolers. So basically, you can just sit here. When the movie starts, you put your FM dial to 91.3, and it starts.
Away you go,
yeah. I don't know if you saw in the back of our car, my daughters basically brought their bed.
Oh, wow. They've got pillows and blankets.
Blankets and pillows and their
stuffed
animals.
Back there?
That's pretty cool.
Loth Wolf?
There's a Loth Wolf back there.
Yeah. Okay.
There is, yes, indeed. That Loth Wolf doesn't go too far from one of them. So
nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, as people, longtime listeners remember on our top Star Wars shows, where did you guys rank Empire?
Ooh.
I believe it was my 4. It was either my 4 or 5.
It was your 4 or 5?
Yeah, my top.
Yours was I thought yours was like 7 or something sacrilegious like that.
That sounds ridiculous. I'm looking up the notes as we speak here. So.
Well, while you're looking, what I'm curious about, and what we're going to record a few days later after we've seen it and it's kind of soaked in, I wonder how it feels to watch it like this, because Mason's always had it as his second least favorite movie, but I have a feeling after tonight it's going to be his favorite.
Yeah, I think it's all about the experience.
Yes.
And no matter how much was 40 years.
40 years.
Of Empire Strikes Back. It still holds up.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are at a drive-in theater. We can get older than this.
Right.
But, here we are experiencing the original way.
Yes.
And do we know if this is special edition or if this is...
I'm sure that as Disney allowed them to show this for the 40th anniversary, so I'm sure it's the one that you see on Disney+.
And did I see that, I'm pretty sure I saw that Empire is the top movie this week?
Yeah, it's number one at the box office.
Isn't
First time in 40 years, which is remarkable.
How does that feel?
Well, not 40 years. It was like that in 97 too. But yeah, that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
I really think that's a really unique thing.
Yeah, and Empire used to always be the top of my list, but a few things have happened since my list has been made, and Rogue One is just that's a film that I can put on anytime.
Yeah.
And then the Clone Wars series season 7 kind of pushed Revenge of the Sith up higher, and so for me, I think Empire. Yeah, I don't have my list in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it was number 4 for me.
And I've got number 5, folks. Don't feel so bad.
Okay. That's good.
And
That's
you know
good.
what?
One for
It might
me, of
change
course.
tonight.
It's
Who
one.
knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It'll always be one
it's a
for
fluid
me.
top 5.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's a fluid,
Very
yeah,
true.
and that's fair. It's malleable, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
One of the other things that's great about tonight is it has been 90s and humid and oppressive here
Yes.
in this area
76
for a good
beautiful.
number of days, and it is. Would you say
76?
It's 76
Yeah, it's
degrees
76
right now
degrees.
as the sun is starting to go down.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
And-
I didn't bring any sweatshirt.
And for me, it took me about an hour and 15 minutes to get here. Mason's been running around nonstop. So if he stays awake through the whole movie, he'll definitely sleep on the way
He told
home.
me he's planning on it. So just so you know.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
Just don't put the hood up.
No.
Yeah.
So
Put
any
the hood
key
down.
things that you're excited about seeing it on the big screen? I mean, this is a big
We were just talking about this on
screen.
the way over, and I said, how many times you guys seen this movie? My kids, and I got my 3 boys with us, and they said, 5 or 6 times, we were talking about the different type key scenes being on Hoth, Vader and Luke, and we were laughing. We were like, what if something had changed? We watched something we didn't see before,
yeah.
just because we're away. And like they said, well, what if Vader cuts off his hand? He goes, ow, that hurt. So kids being kids, I thought it was a unique way to look at it. I thought, oh, okay, he does scream, yes. But
What about you, Dan? Are you looking forward to seeing something on this big screen in front of us tonight?
Well, we were talking on the way here, and I said there are 3 major reasons why I like this movie so much. It's got the most of the Falcon, the most of Han Solo, and the most of Darth Vader.
there you go.
And it just lines up beautifully. You can't beat Hoth. Seeing the AT-ATs up there is going to be phenomenal because they're going to be larger than life.
Right.
Cloud City's great. I always get a little upset when Han Solo gets frozen, and Mason always says, why? He's going to get better. Like, yes,
He's
but
get
for a
better.
while, he's a popsicle.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No, I'm definitely looking forward to Vader's first entrance on Hoth. I love
Oh.
that moment almost as much as I love his first appearance in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Coming through the smoke and sparks on the Tantive. This one's almost as good.
Yeah.
Maybe we can't sit here and do like commentary for this.
I was
That
thinking
fun.
about
That'd
that,
be
but
fun.
everyone would be annoyed.
That'd be
We just stretch our cords.
I know. I guess we're just going to have to
Might work
watch
that
it
way.
again. So, again, we're excited. We've got our bag chair set up, our cooler's ready, got our snacks.
Yep.
All the good stuff. I brought a Millennium Falcon Bluetooth speaker, but my phone, we're kind of in a remote-ish area.
Yeah.
So, not exegol remote, but remote.
Close.
Yeah.
I see you did there.
Close.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, we'll follow up on this in a couple of days for the next show, but any closing thoughts before we...
I'm excited. I'm ready to do this.
Yeah.
I'm excited too. I just wondered who brought the circus peanuts.
This guy,
Huh?
not me.
I
no.
accidentally dropped him out of the car.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
this is
doggone it.
the next quote unquote premiere, if you will. That
It
we've
is
been
sort
to
of a
since
premiere.
let's see, Last Skywalker? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
And
So this is
I'm it's good to see you guys, and we've been doing our part.
Yep.
We've been 6 feet apart. We've got our we took our masks off for this because we were far enough away from each other. It's not going to be
Right.
a big deal, but we're excited. We might actually need a sweatshirt, and it's summertime, so that's pretty
I'm
wild.
shivering a little right now.
I
as a matter
know,
of
I
fact.
know. Shiver me timbers. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We will be back after the break with our reflections on this experience.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books but can't find the time? Try listening to them on audio, featuring sound effects, top-notch narrators and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Jump into the cockpit of your favorite starfighter in the brand new Shadowfall by Alexander Freed, the thrilling sequel to Alphabet Squadron, and don't forget to try Star Wars Queen's Peril by E.K. Johnston, read by the Clone Wars star Catherine Tabor. And if you like the audio original Dooku Jedi Lost, keep an eye out for Dr. Aphra, a brand new audio drama read by an all-star cast, including Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor, Jonathan Davis, and more. Dr. Aphra is on sale July 21st. Pre-order now. Visit penguinrandomhouseaudio.com/Star Wars to listen to clips and find your next listen, or buy now wherever audiobooks are sold. MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is your one-stop shop for your vacation needs and your plans to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or the cruise lines. Travel looks much different now than it did a couple of months ago, and with the opening of Walt Disney World and soon, hopefully, the opening of Disneyland, you need a place to go where you can trust, and they will help you figure out and navigate all the different circumstances and guidelines that Disney has put out for you. And I can say that we had our vacation modified, and as soon as dates were announced, MEI contacted me directly to help me reschedule, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. So if you are interested in rescheduling your vacation or want to try to plan a Walt Disney World, Disneyland vacation, or anywhere else you want to go on the planet, be sure to contact MEI and Mouse Fan Travel at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. Their signature service and expert advice will help you maximize your vacation time and dollar, and they will help you figure out all the different changes and modifications going on at the Disney theme parks. They are amazing, and I can tell you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, the peace of mind that Becky Menken and the crew at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel have given me is invaluable. If you're interested at all, again, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. We are back, and as promised, we have had a couple of days to sort of digest everything that happened at the Harvest Moon Drive-In in Gibson City, Illinois, voted one of the top 10 best drive-in movie theaters in the United States of America. So Cory is with me. Tom was not able to join us tonight. He has some other stuff going on, but he will certainly share his thoughts very, very soon with us. But in the meantime, you just got the original dynamic duo of Coffee with Kenobi. How about that?
Love it. Love it.
So what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, so this was a unique experience. I think listeners have probably heard our pre-show discussion. And it's unique because, for one, we're in this pandemic, right? We can't go out and do necessarily a lot of, outside things, or I guess I say outside thing, more just like getting out and doing things, activities. Obviously, can't go to theaters anymore this summer. And this is the first movie I've seen all summer.
Oh wow!
It's pretty funny, but this was overall a fantastic experience. I know we kind of talked about it around, the different movies coming up. Obviously, it's the 40th for Empire, which is so awesome. I've never seen. Okay, I was trying to tell. I think when I told this earlier, was the last time I saw Empire on the big screen was, I think, special editions in the 90s. What was that? 96? 97. Okay.
February for Empire. I just remember.
There you go. So it's been quite some time for me seeing on the big screen, but to have it in the outdoor theater experience was awesome. I mean, I was expecting to, it to be kind of low quality and just kind of adapt to that. But actually, it was great. The quality of the picture was good. The sun going down just before the movie started up. The previews in between. I think overall, I was finding things that I was thinking about things. If you were sitting and watching this for the very first time in theaters, and I never experienced this myself, but the very first time things come out, what something's going through your head? You're meeting these heroes again, right? You're meeting all these characters again. You're on a cold planet instead of a hot planet. It's a lot of like reverse psychology there. And I brought my three boys along, and they had a blast. They were first of all, they were excited to go to a drive-in movie because that's like the old times. They were just like, I mean, I think the only time they've actually done that was like through the movies themselves. Like they've seen other people do that in the movies and never really experienced that themselves, especially like a world-class theater like this. We had front row seats, which was fabulous, and the whole experience was a blast. I think it was a lot of fun.
So yeah, just purely focusing on the movement of the movie drive-in experience itself. As we said at the top of the show, we had front row seats. We had appropriate social distancing. Even our cars were socially distanced, which I thought was a really cool touch that the drive-in movie theater had instituted.
Yeah.
And I had spent a lot of time before the movie finding this FM antenna app on my iPhone, and it worked beautifully at home. But then when I got to Gibson City, it must have smaller antenna or smaller feet or what have you. So it didn't work. So everyone else had SUVs with them, so they could just get in the back of the vehicle and open up. So what I did was I still opened the trunk, and I could see her fine. I had to really crank it and put all the speakers, all of the settings into the back. But it worked just fine. So Mason and I sat there, we drank it, and there was, like you had mentioned, bringing your kids is so cool, because Mason had certainly never been to a drive-in movie theater before. Mm-hmm. And all the fun little nuances of that I talked about at the top of the show. But he was just very mesmerized and into the movie. And the screen is just, every movie theater has a giant screen, but this one seemed extra huge because it was outdoors. And the only thing that was a real distraction is once in a while, the train would drive through Gibson City, and it would mute out certain parts of the volume of this movie itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the traffic going by, just the different ambiances. But for the most part, I thought it was pretty good technology that's still working today. That, if folks are trying to find something to do this summer, they've had a whole host of different types of movies to go and see. I think if you're experiencing something like this, check it out. The other thing that I found that was fascinating, just watching a Star Wars movie, I was able to look up at the stars. Mm-hmm. themselves and just it was almost like mixed in with the movie itself, and it was just a really surreal moment. I kept finding myself looking up at the stars during a Star Wars movie. I've never done it before. It's incredible. It's a fun feeling. The weather was great. That's what I was going to say, that the weather was great to sit outside, and like you said, we had our car ready to go and some snacks ready to go, and it was great. Kids found themselves engrossed in the movie, in the sense of, because the thing is, when I go watch a movie that I've seen before, you're kind of like, okay, here comes this beat, they're going to say this line. But I realized this whole movie is chocked full of some of the best Star Wars lines ever. Almost every line is like a quote or a memorable scene that's so iconic. I know people who subscribe to our Pour-Over show. We ranked our Star Wars movies not too long ago, and
I've been waiting for this.
This one's definitely moved up the ranks for me.
Yeah,
I think we said it was number 5 for me. It's top 3 now. It's that because it's interesting, because you have these new experiences, and you can sit down at home and dim the lights down and still watch Empire and have a great big screen and have fun that way. But this is something different. This is an experience that I think my kids will remember. We will understand during these crazy pandemic times. Mm-hmm. And to see a movie like Empire is a classic film. All the way around. You take out the Star Wars, the film itself is just iconic. Again, it's been a blast to do something like this, and I hope we can do it again.
It makes me very happy to hear that. So it's really nice. What Star Wars always does is it's a very communal thing. It's a very unique thing. When you and I and Tom recorded our feature-length commentary of A New Hope, you said, I actually haven't sat down and watched this movie in a long time. You noticed things you hadn't before, certain things stood out for you. So specifically to the film itself, were there certain things or certain aspects of this that hit you, or that you and your kids talked about on the way home, that was very exciting for you, that helped this movie to rise up in your all-time ranks?
That's a great question. Again, like I said, this movie is so iconic, so I know every scene, I know every dialogue, but I found myself really catching on to the Han and Leia build-up.
Yeah.
Because like you said, or like I was thinking through, these characters are meeting again for the first time. We're seeing them on screen. And I was watching in that control room in the beginning in Hoth, seeing Leia and Han have this love-hate relationship. They're really kind of rocky at the start. He's trying to be pretty forward, and she's just brushing him off. She's trying to, she's doing the mission, and he's just kind of jockeying for a date, which is kind of fun. But seeing that and then seeing just Han Solo as a character, you can tell he's understanding. He's frustrated. The Millennium Falcon won't start up. Chewie did something wrong. They're trying to figure this out. Leia won't, give him the time of day. And now all of a sudden Luke has been missing. And like I didn't put that together until like it makes sense that like Han Solo still is a compassionate character. He's gruff and rough, but he definitely has a lot more going for him, even in this second installment. Like, I think that, they say you can't really, break the mold type thing, or they just enhance the Han Solo character. Mm-hmm. And I found myself watching that through this whole thing. But then, of course, like we all know, it builds up to the iconic scene of him getting frozen in carbonite. And like, how powerful that scene really truly is, and how good that writing is, the dialogue and the characters up to that point. Leia and Han are not getting along. There's some weird, connection. Some weird things are going on. Luke's still missing. It's just him being frozen was just like it's crazy to think about. Like, because it's something that you never expected. The other thing that got me was. I found myself when Yoda appears, he's kind of because that crazy alien character.
Sure.
We don't know for the first time who he really is if you're meeting him for the first time, and he's kind of like, he's kind of crazy and like has that crazy laugh, mine, just and then Luke doesn't believe him. It's like that concept of people always think that no, I am your father is this big twist, but Yoda is also a big twist. We forget about that. And I found myself going, oh yeah, this famed Jedi Master is this little swamp creature that lives in a hut. So it just evolves around so much of a growing spirit in Luke too. I mean, and knowing his abilities. And I think back to, and I'm going along on this, but I think back to Rey's experience, going through the cave, and almost that same mirror image we saw in The Last Jedi. It makes you really think about The Last Jedi and think, okay, now there were some really big transitions going on there, and some big, mirroring moments that I want to go back and watch. So it makes you appreciate, I think, Rian Johnson's film again, and you'll go back and saying, hey, there's a lot more here than meets the eye. I think we brush it off so quickly because the next Star Wars movie is in the next 6 to 9 months. We just think, okay, well, wait for the next one. But this movie, Empire Strikes Back, didn't come out for the next 3 or 4 years. 3 years. So it's crazy to think about how much gravity this film has for it, going, even rewatching over the years and seeing it again here on the big screen.
Yes, and so that's cool. It's fun to hear sort of how it grabs you. What about the boys? Was there certain stuff that they really liked?
Yeah, I mean, I think the kids they loved the AT-AT going across the screen. I think the special effects still hold up. Yes. They talk about the sets and the fight with Vader, and I was watching, like, we were talking about the lightsaber battles and how much it was very kind of like a kind of position moving versus like flair and wildness, and we talked about how a lot of that was based around the time period and how that was put together. But also, I think if you think about the storyline, there's a lot going on between Luke and Vader. Like, Luke is just trying to understand the Force, and what if it's not necessarily it's a power struggle versus a strength struggle. It's not like they're a master swordsman, which they are, but also it's the fact that like there's a bigger struggle going on. Maybe it's a psychotic type of struggles, and there's not so much a physicality to it as like a mind game thing. And my kids always talk about the "I'm your father," that whole idea, and it's just enjoyable that they still are captured by this film. I didn't, there's not a whole much to say about like, hey, did you guys like it? And they go, oh yeah, it was great. I think they like the experience of going and seeing it on the big screen like that, and of course outdoors and underneath the stars. So, and
then seeing your family and your friends, and then it was just a great night. One of my favorite nights of the whole summer, easily.
Well, for you, I mean, we talked about this earlier too. I mean, you saw it in theaters. How does this compare? I mean, is this just like a oh, it's just Empire Strikes Back? Or do you sit down and look for different moments and look for new things that you haven't seen before along the way? And as you age with this, and seeing it through your kid's eyes too. I mean, you think about, he's impressionable. He's watching it and really drinking it in for those moments. What are you hoping he gets out of this along the way?
I mean, honestly, for me watching it, there's certain snapshots and moments that I like, and I took pictures of them and put them on our Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
Same. I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, just fun things. But I was purely driven for this night by the experience of seeing him see the movie. Like, I only cared about his enjoyment of the movie. I very much knew what was going on. I mean, I could close my eyes and recite the entire movie easily, including the dialogue, the sound effects, the music, all of it. I just wanted him to enjoy it. And, what I like is something that you mentioned. And you've heard me say this for years, for 7 years, or if not longer. My memory of seeing this Star Wars film, the first Star Wars film, was just being under the stars and watching it. And now you see what that's like. And it's beautiful. It's just, it's so captivating. Things that stood out for me about this movie this time was how critically important John Williams' score is. Honestly, if you don't have John Williams' score in this, I don't think the movie's half as powerful. I really don't.
Not at all. Yeah.
And it's never hit me in quite that way. But we were also listening to the soundtrack there and back, and we've heard it a lot over the past few weeks. And whenever he and I played the old 1980 Empire Strikes Back Escape from Hoth board game that Hasbro re-released this year, we played this Empire soundtrack, so it's extra fresh in my mind. By just noticing certain key elements of that score and how it impacts it. I also noticed yet again how incredibly funny C-3PO is. This is easily his best movie, I think, front to back, and the contentious relationship he has with Han Solo. And really, it's pretty one-sided. I mean, C-3PO is annoyed with certain things that Solo does, but it doesn't like he takes it personally. Whereas Solo just has no patience for Goldenrod, as he calls him.
Goldenrod.
And if you look at the behind the scenes stuff, you see Anthony Daniels very much felt ignored and sort of didn't really care for the way he was treated by Harrison Ford during the filming of it. Not that they had any, misunderstandings, but he very much felt like, because he's inside this thing, he can't see Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford can't see Anthony Daniels. He just sees C-3PO. And it's like life imitating art to a degree. It's a very interesting dynamic, which he covers in his autobiography as well. And I mean Anthony Daniels. So those things stick out. Luke's refusal to grow up, I think, is important in The Empire Strikes Back. And you had mentioned Han and Leia's relationship and courtship. That's one of my favorite parts about Empire. But I think the whole time, yes, she wants to do a mission, but she's fighting with herself the entire time. She's fighting with her feelings for him.
Yeah.
And he is just kind of like, whatever, I'm laying it all on the line. I don't care. But she's getting through to him too, even though he doesn't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. They both have different ways of fighting it by fighting each other. And it becomes more of a courtship and a dance the more that they fight and do that with one another. And I think it's very classic Hollywood. That's why, the Gone with the Wind style poster is like that with Han and Leia, because they have that very much, Grant Hepburn sort of old school romance that flickers on throughout. I was also really taken by Lando in this and just how charismatic Billy D. Williams is. Yeah. And it's almost become like a cliche anymore, but it's really true. Like you peel away all these layers and all the ways we're sort of callous to this movie to a degree. Mm-hmm. And it's one heck of a beautiful, well-told story. I still maintain this is the most character-driven of any of the Star Wars films, except for maybe The Last Jedi.
I think the other thing I was thinking about, too, just different things that stood out to me, just seeing it this time around, Luke is upside down a lot, which is interesting to me, and I would curious to ask Mark Hamill how that was acting. How he's doing the training with Yoda. He's upside down in the ice cave. Mm-hmm. Just different things like that, a little more stunt driven this time around for Mark. And I'm wondering how that was, put into acting and building that character, like you said.
He was on set more than any of them, like significantly more. And the Hoth stuff, the Dagobah stuff was all the last stuff that he shot.
Dagobah, okay.
And that swamp, the water, it got so dirty by the end that people were worried about getting infections. And that water was actually full of snakes and mud and all kinds of reptiles because they brought it in to add some atmosphere. And a lot of the crew were like, I'm not going near that water.
I wouldn't go near it either.
No.
Thanks.
I mean, it got a little carried away. I don't think he would do something like that with today's technology and things like that. But
live animals, yeah.
It's captivating. And how good of an actor he is to act to a puppet that he could barely even hear.
Well, that's what I was thinking about too. Like the Yoda puppet, like it's that again, that special effects. I think it still holds up as much as you want to laugh at like some of the scenes. Yes, you can tell they're not perfect, but the fact that it doesn't need to be perfect because you're so engrossed in the film and the characters, it goes away, it washes away. So that's why I think it still holds up. The other thing that interests me, that stood out to me, and this stood out to me before, in the beginning in Hoth, Leia and Han are in that the hallway scene, and they're kind of debating and fighting over what he's going to leave and she's going to stay and things like that. Well, there's a couple I'm going to say extras that walk right through their conversation. Yes. That just drives me crazy.
I know.
I think how could Lucas keep that? How did they keep this in? Why wouldn't you have said, "Oh no, let's go around the backside of him. Don't go right between them." But I wonder if that's somehow representative of their discussion.
It is.
What does that speak to you? Do you remember that scene? There's a couple extras. One that goes straight through them, and one that goes around, almost very awkwardly around Han Solo, the backside of him.
It's just a very, very obvious metaphor for the tone of where they're at in the galaxy. The fact that they don't have time for this little petty romance thing because they've got a much bigger thing going on in the world. Everybody's going to different places on Echo Base so they can survive, so they can escape the Empire, so they can start to plan what's eventually going to be this evacuation. But things are always in the way. Like Leia's whole life, she's all about duty, and she finds a connection with this man, but duty is still literally in her face. She's still got people she's got to take care of and she's responsible for. And his life is all about distraction. So for him, that's probably a normal and annoying, which adds to kind of the gruff exterior of who he is. But I still think, and I'm going to try to write about this.
I like it.
But I really like about this movie that the whole thing is about cold. I mean, yes, it's Hoth, but at the beginning we've got Hoth. At the end, we've got him frozen in carbonite. And they both have to, I feel like she is as cold at the beginning of the film as Hoth is because she's keeping her tough exterior because she doesn't want Han to get inside because she's trying to, win a war and she doesn't want him to distract her. And she doesn't want to give in to this, half-witted stuff, stuck-up, scruffy-looking nerf herder. And he ends up thawing. So at the end of the movie, he's frozen, but inside he's more warm than he's ever been. That's deep.
I like it. Yeah, right about that. I would like to know more the symbolism there, and obviously, and their growth as a couple. Really, I mean, and the whole, she kisses Luke just to despite him, right in front of his face, and that's the thing too. I laughed out loud at some of these scenes. They're going to say "laugh it up, fuzzball." The C3PO, his comedic timing is dead on.
Perfect.
But then again, it shows me how much humor there is in Star Wars.
Yeah,
we forget that, I think, sometimes, and people balk at that for the newest movies and it's too funny. They're being too jokey. But that's what it is. They're making fun of their own situation. Their own. What's going on, and that's what all you can do in life, and when in these crazy times, you have to make jokes and to get through it. And
even Vader's funny. Remember in Rogue One, he says, "Be careful not to choke on your ambitions."
Yes.
And people are Vader doesn't make jokes. He makes jokes in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
He kills Captain Need and says, "Apology accepted," and he's got a little bit of a twinkle in his voice when he says it.
Yeah. And it makes you think back to all these other these tropes that have gone through the Star Wars thing, and people just roll their eyes at but no, look back at these first films that set the standard, and they're exactly where they came from. So if I was writing or directing a Star Wars movie, why wouldn't you go back and read that stuff and watch those things again and say, oh, look what they did here? There's Vader makes a snide comment or whatever, and the matter is the fact that he's killing these Imperial officers right and left, and oh, now you're basically been promoted. You're promoted. As I was watching that kind of go through too. It's kind of fun, and that's kind of funny in its own sense.
I always test myself to make sure I can name all the Imperial officers and admirals, so it comes up for Trivial Pursuit. I'll be ready, and I'm ready.
That's where I bomb. So
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are. With Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is...
As we begin to wrap up the show, I want to thank each of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a cup of coffee with me and for helping to spread the word about our Star Wars family we've got here at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and have a cup of coffee, tea, or any beverage of your choosing with me as we continue the conversation. To join us in the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, and share your Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-free, spoiler-free place that is also drama-free, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community and be a part of the conversation, talk about this week's show, or just talk some Star Wars. It is a lot of fun, and you'll make some new friends as well as catch up with longtime friends as well. I also want to thank all of my new and longtime friends who joined me in the CWK Cantina and let you know how much I appreciate your help and encouragement and love being able to give back to you with CWK Pour-Over, the exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else. A big thank you to Smooth Rivera, Dan Capurso, Aaron, Jim Tallman, JC Poe, Ed Kimoto, Greg McLaughlin, Robert Avila, Dustin Mills, Yancey Evans, Josh Boylan, Chelsea Sansbury, Connie Chi, Tyler Pampa, Hannah, Alex Procasio, Ian Thompson, David Nicely, Simbad Defterdarian, Christine Turk, Ross Halliban, Kurt McKellen, Dan Ream, Colby Mead, Alexander Moylan, Frank Mulder, Blake Weaver, Jim Capron, Chris Metz, LJ Souter, Aaron Harris, Chris Kavarka, Jeff Ellis, Daz Davies, Susan Gray, Thea Selby, Christian Dale, Brian McKinney, Jason Hall, Jared Cantor, Eric Struthers, Mark Suter, Angela Sauce, and Dennis Keithley. If you want an additional way to help out the show, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/support and join us in the Coffee with Kenobi Cantina. It's a great way to support and help out the show, and 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital to support the incredibly important work they are doing to help these brave children and their families. Plus, contributors at the CWK All-Star level can watch a video podcast of CWK Pour-Over hosted by me, Tom Gross, and Cory Clubb. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit our website at www.coffeewithkenobi.com for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, live video, and so much more. If you have a question for me or just want to share your thoughts on the air, feel free to email me at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com and I'll share them on the show. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zaher, MRZEHR. There are also a lot of ways to connect with me and Coffee with Kenobi on social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and check us out on Pinterest. You can find me twice a month on the podcast Looking at Lucasfilm, part of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, and you can find my writing on CWK's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I'm an official blogger there, as well as on IGN, where I contribute articles on Star Wars, as well as other pop culture topics. And if you're considering starting a podcast or a blog, let me know how I can help you get started and help you make your creative vision a reality. Be sure to check out danzmedia.com and we can get the process started. I am also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization to talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. I want to inspire you to be inspired. Don't be afraid to take that first step into a larger world. Thanks as always to our CWK sponsors, especially MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, our travel partner and your one-stop shop for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Lines, or anywhere you want to go on the planet. Please go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel to book your magical vacation and help support Coffee with Kenobi in the process. If you like this show, please tweet out that you're listening, share it on Facebook, or invite your friends and family to tune in and share a cup of coffee with us. And if the Force is especially with you, please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Google Podcasts. Every review makes a huge difference and helps to spread the word. Go to iTunes and search Coffee with Kenobi and you'll see the show there. My circle of friends has grown so much because of each and every one of you, and it means so much to me that we have such a wonderful Star Wars community. great. Well, I'm so glad. It's so fun to hear this. It's too bad that the three of us couldn't get together for the end, but Tom will certainly be on in the next few weeks, and we'll get his take on this, because the three of us had a great time. Of course, you heard at the beginning of the show our recording, and then we got to spend time together hanging out, from 6 feet apart. And then when the movie started, we were all in the same row together, but we were all with our families. I thought that was very, very special. It really was a wonderful night.
It really was. I'm glad we put it together. Glad we did it, because I know we were kind of up in the air. And glad we ended up doing, being safe, like you said, and having a good time, getting out and doing something. It was the feel-good movie of the year.
Yes, it's always trust in Zare.
That's become my motto for all the things Star Wars now. So trust in Zare.
I like it. All right, well, very good. Well, hey, Cory, before we wrap up, anything else you want to say about this?
Yeah, like I said it before, if folks go in a chance to go see a drive-in movie, no matter it be Star Wars or whatever, there's a lot of class movies I think playing now. People are trying to go out and do things. Take your family. Yeah. As much as you maybe you're like, I'm not really sure what to do. Be appropriate. Wear masks. 6 feet apart. You're outdoors. Do the best you can, I think, to go and do something like this, because I think it brings a breathe more air into these crazy times during this pandemic, and it gets you out to see a movie. I think this summer has been lost without the feature films and the big blockbusters out there. So if you get a chance to do that, I'd say take advantage of it.
I totally agree. And if people want to take advantage of your insights and say hello, where can they reach out to you to continue the conversation?
Absolutely. If they want to catch me online on Twitter, I'm at Cory Clubb, where all my shenanigans go on there. And if you want to tell me your favorite thing or crazy scene from Empire Strikes Back, or your whole experience, feel free to email me, CoryC@coffeewithkenobi.com.
Wonderful to catch up with Cory, and always great to catch up with each and every one of you every week at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to join us on Monday night again at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We are giving our top 5 favorite obscure Jedi, so be sure to tune in to Facebook Live and have your list with you. Now, when we say obscure Jedi, obviously that means Anakin, Luke, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Yoda, Ahsoka. Those aren't obscure Jedi, so we're hoping you'll pick people from the Jedi Councils in episodes 1, 2, and 3, or maybe a Jedi from the Clone Wars that really kind of struck your fancy, or something from the Legends line as well. The big thing is that you join us and that you participate. That is what is the best part about Coffee with Kenobi, involving as many people as possible in this wonderful, wonderful community. Thank you so much again, everybody, as always, for joining me for a cup of coffee. Until next time, this is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Try a Star Wars story you can only experience on audio with the brand new Star Wars audiobook original, Dr. Aphra by Sarah Kuhn. Read by an all-star cast including Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor, Jonathan Davis, and more. Dr. Aphra is on sale July 21st, wherever audiobooks are sold. Pre-order now.